Hi, everyone. We'll start the session in just a second. We'll let everybody become part of the session and then we'll start. Hi, everyone. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us today for our GRE Verbal Section workshop. I am Umara Daud. I am working as an educational advisor at the Education USA USEFP office, Islamabad. We are grateful to our instructor Zulfikar Ali Sheikh for conducting the session today. Mr. Zulfikar is a Fulbright scholar with a degree in international development from Cornell University. His earlier background is in development economics with a BS honors from LUMS, Lahore. Zulfikar is a GRE and SAT coach and test preparation expert. He is currently working with the Ministry of Federal Education and Professional Training as an assistant education advisor. Before we start the session, I wanted to highlight that please remember that this year our Fulbright application cycle has started a bit early from January to April 12th, 2023. Also, this year the GRE minimum score has been revised. The minimum score for both quantitative and verbal section is 145. Please check out our website and Facebook page for information and updates regarding the Fulbright scholarship. Also, if you have any questions about the GRE test, you can reach out to our testing department at testing@usefp.org. The testing department also provides a mock test service for the GRE. You can write to the testing testing@usefp.org or call 051-227-2708 to book an appointment. Wait for a confirmation appointment, confirmation from the department before showing up at this test center. Also, there's a 500 rupees fee for the mock test. For any questions, you can contact the testing department. Please remember to put your questions in Q&A box. Mr. Zulfikar will answer them either during the session or at the end of the session. I will now request our instructor, Mr. Zulfikar Sheikh, to begin the verbal workshop.
Thank you, Ms. Umara. I'm pleased to be here and welcome you all once again. And 1 hour session is quite short, but we'll try to cover some key aspects of the GRE verbal section. And I'll try to cover most of the prominent parts, which I feel are important just for a basic learning, and that at a higher level, some possible tips and my observations that I have seen, I have made during my coaching with the GRE students over the past several years. I have been witness to the different GRE patterns. This one is definitely much balanced in terms of keeping the tension and the stress levels as well as your actual potential in the GRE in a good shape. So we'll start. I'll just share my presentation with you. We will be taking questions at the end. Most of the questions might already be either getting answered here, or some of the questions which I would feel that might be out of the domain for now might not be taken right away. I might also not be very fluent with the chat screen, so I'll seek help of Umara or someone from there if needed. For now,
I'm here. Any help you want? Yes.
Thank you. So is my screen visible now? Should be.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Great. So GRE verbal. This session will quickly go through most of these items, actually all of these items, but some of the items will be in detail, I'll be skipping around. I have kept the slides on those topics intact for the reasons that you might ask questions around that, and we should have those slides. But otherwise, I'll feel that we are running short of time. I'll skip those which were intentionally added with added content. So introduction to the GRE verbal test, types of questions in the GRE verbal test, and then there are verbal section, which per se is quite different from the writing one, which has 2 parts, analytical writing and verbal reasoning. And the 3 actual ones are having the subsections, reading comprehension related questions or text completion related aspects or strategies and tactics. Focusing on the reading comprehension, I have added a couple of slides heavy on the reading comprehension practice, because I feel most of the students are actually facing problems in that. About GRE scores, sections, test day options, and some other aspects of the GRE test, which are very important to get familiarized with the test in a proper manner. Some FAQs, not all of them, but very brief, most asked ones. We will see if we could cover, and how you should prepare for it. I'll just give my brief recommendations to you and what I have seen from experiences of others to follow. A brief introduction, which Umar already made. I'm Zulfikar Ali Sheikh. I'm from Cornell. I did my master's from Cornell and earlier from LUMS. I was an outreach student, national outreach program student, the first batch. So this is for your reassurance that people get this progression. I have my background from Sindhi medium schools, and from there onwards, I've done Urdu medium, semi-English medium, and then certainly in LUMS, which was not a very easy experience, of course, but people do have these trajectories more so now. So this is just for your own motivation. If some people feel that GRE or some other aspects can be very difficult, you can actually reach these goals with some effort and committed guidelines. I'm an education sector professional. I work in the development sector, and I am recently starting a YouTube channel around how to improve the English levels for different tests. So it's a test prep center. It's in initial stages, not yet properly launched. Some FB posts have been posted. What is GRE? And I would ask Amara at this stage, can we take some quick comments in some of the slides, if I may? Would it be easy, Amara?
Well, comments in what sense?
Like if I'm asking, what do you feel? Why is it required? Why is a GRE test required? For example, I want to have some brief answers, maybe.
What the participants can do is that they can write their answers in the Q&A box. That's the pattern of this session. So please, if you ask a question, they will be writing their answers in the Q&A box.
So can you please, all of the participants, can you please say some words? Why is GRE required? What is a GRE test?
Please write your answers in the Q&A box, and Mr. Zulfikar will have a look at them.
And Amara, I have shared my screen. Do you think my presentation is just being visible, or some other boxes are also coming up?
It's just that what is GRE, what does it assess?
That's great. It. So nothing is blocking the slides. Right. And Amara, can you look at the chats, a few ones, because when I'm switching this sheets, I'm sometimes getting it.
Sure. Okay, do you want me to read out the answers?
Yeah, please, a couple, just 2 or 3.
Okay, so Uzair N says to judge the ability and knowledge of prospective students. Rana Daniel for scholarship. Atyab for uniformity in graduate admissions, I guess. And Anjum assessing analytical skills. More?
Great. So perfect. I think these are more closer ones that I usually receive. So yes, analytical skills, your verbal abilities, your skills, this and that. And why is it required? It is required primarily because it's a graduate admission test. And what should a test, an ideal test, and I believe that GRE is a very, very scientifically designed test. It must assess your preparedness and readiness for a graduate program. So it tests you those skills which are required for a graduate level program. And what are those skills? So you're sitting in a classroom, a 90-minute session every twice a week, and you are going through a trail of knowledge, information, and you are required to have a lot of analytical skills, your logical ability, your time compressed ability to resolve problems, absorb things, and then come up with your own logics. So all of these are being tested through these 2 primary sections, which is quant and verbal. So your logical thinking, while it uses maths, it's basically a higher level skill, which it is testing. And similarly for verbal, it's not just your reading or your vocabulary. It's basically your own assessment of what you read, how well have you comprehended this, and many other aspects. So it's a well-designed course for assessing those skills so that you are felt suitable for this particular program. What are some of the subsection type questions? So first of all, I have highlighted these in black. There are two sections: analytical writing assessment and verbal reasoning. These are actually your writing skills. But within the verbal reasoning, you have subsections of reading comprehension related aspects, and then text completion questions, and then you have sentence equivalence. So these are the kind of questions or formats through which your verbal reasoning skills are assessed. In reading comprehension, what you are doing is that you are so basically you are given a passage from 1 to 5 paragraphs, and then you are either asked a single answer MCQ. When you look at MCQs, multiple choice questions, and typically in Pakistani standards, we have this clear assumption that there are 5 or 4 options, and then you have to pick one only. That should not be the case with the MCQ. Why? Because it's a multiple choice question. So it gives you multiple choices, but it does not require you to have only one answer. So in this format, we have one only answer out of those 4 or 5, and then you have multiple correct answers. And then there is a question type which also requires you to select a passage within a test. We'll look at that. And then types of passages. So what you should be reading about. First of all, it's a very good test, which means you cannot just kill it by doing a lot of shortcuts and a lot of practice around that. But generally speaking, there are humanities related topics, social sciences related topics, natural sciences, innovations, even scientific researches, but in a very easy to understand, does not require previous background in those particular fields. That is where you are being asked. So you should be reading around National Geographic related things, economists, editorial pages of, if you're talking about in Pakistan, possibly Dawn newspaper would be the best. Otherwise, Guardian or New York Times editorial pages would increase your ability to engage with text, how it is flowing, how it is shifting, how it is being summarized, what particular nuances are coming, and many other aspects which cannot be covered in this session. But I can tell you, it actually judges your ability to read and comprehend. So it's a reading comprehension test. The common question types are, for example, the statement would say that the author in this particular sentence would agree to dash dash dash, or would disagree with, or would endorse a particular thing like this. So it will be an incomplete statement, or according to the passage. You can be asked according to the passage, the inference is this, or according to the passage, this particular fact is corroborating with another particular aspect. Or so these will be the routes in which the questions will be coming. Most tricky ones include except. So there's the information in a passage, you go through it, and then the question asks, according to the passage, everything of the following is true except. So there's only one option which says except this, all 4 other options are right. So you have to be very careful. I'll come to other aspects why these gets tricky and how you can crack those. Most likely questions. So author is inclining towards a particular direction, but it has not yet fully driven to that point. So you can be asked about what is a most likely thing that author or a particular character. So for example, it is talking about Julius Caesar did this and that. So author is not tilting towards it, but Julius Caesar might be doing something in that passage, or tilting the characters within the passage. It can be a true false statement, or it can say that is my voice okay now? I just saw that internet connection was not fine.
Yeah, your voice is fine.
Okay. So the questions can be, according to the passage, the following statements are true, or which was the true. So there can be 3 options, all of them can be true, or all of them can be untrue, or things like that. The question types will tell you more about that, but it has to have, you have to have a holistic understanding of the entire passage. And when we say passage, it can be a 1 para, it can be 2, 3, 4, or up to 5. Typically, now questions tend from 1 to 2 paras, but there will be one which will be a 5 para passage. And why you should be focusing on reading comprehension? Half of the questions in each of the 2 verbal sections that you'll be getting will be related to reading comprehension. For example, we are going to do a passage here. These lines are taken right away from a text. So these numbers are important. For example, I have not numbered, but the role of magazines as this is the line 1 and then 2, 3, 4. These lines will be marked in your own actual paper. So you read a passage quickly. The role of the magazines as operators of the 19th century taste is seen in their depictions of the London theatre. The magazines, according to some legitimacy to the East End working class theatres that mirror the format of the fashionable West End theatres serving middle and upper class audiences. However, you see, this is where a shift is coming. So while you're reading, it is an engaging reading that you require. You have to engage with the text. So you are given information on different aspects. These words might be very new for 90% of the audience, and that is the purpose. That is the purpose, that whether you get blocked or hindered by these bits and pieces which are not very much frequently studied in your own reading or writing or your own observations. So this is all part of the game. However, the most important aspect is that it is saying however. So something is going to change from what the information was coming previously. However, the magazines also depicted music. It means that previously it was taught in this, but it also depicted music halls which competed for the patronage with all theaters as places where cross entertainment corrupted spectators to taste and morals. So there were halls where some cross entertainment, some sort of a very outrageous word would be in particular sort of vulgar sort of entertainment or something of that sort, which was corrupting spectators to taste and morals. So here's a question for that. Should I place it? Yeah. In the context in which it appears accorded in the line 9, there is a word theaters as places where the cross entertainment corrupted spectators of taste and morals. Provides an example. This line 9, this is an example as places where cross entertainment was being was getting used as corrupted spectators. Let me see. There's one more in which I'll come back to this one. Here's another passage. I'm seeing what there was a particular line missing in that one. And one more thing, within your test, there will be 2 split screens. So one screen will have the passage intact in front of you and the other will have questions. So there can be 1, 2, or 3 different questions on the same passage. The passage will remain there and you can then have questions going ahead, but the passage you can see. So it will not be going away from your screens. Plus the GRE is on computer-based tests. So it's a big screen, so you can read all of this very clearly. In this particular one, the question that is being asked is, which of the following statements is supported by the passage? So while statement A, B, and C, all of them can be true as per the passage. Let us see. A tall tree can transport 100 gallons of water a day from its roots deep underground the treetop. Is this movement propelled by pulling the water from above or pushing it from below? The pull mechanism has long been favored by most scientists. It means that this pull mechanism is not 100% guaranteed as yet, or even author has not shown his or her own tilt towards that. So first you have to engage with the text while you are reading it. Okay, most is favor this particular pull mechanism of the sucking of the water. First proposed in the late 1800s, this particular theory, which means the pull theory, relies on a property of water not commonly associated with other fluids. With fluids means with other fluids. Its tensile strength. This property seems to be unique. This tensile strength seems to be unique to water only and not other liquids. Instead of making a clean break, water evaporating from the treetop tugs on the remaining water molecules, with that tug extending from molecule to molecule all the way down to the roots. You see, there are words which might be only readable in a flowing manner to a biology student, a botanist, but 95% of the test takers would not be that. So it's difficult for everyone. That's fine. You do not have to get boiled down, embroiled with all of this, but you have to understand the broader meaning of it. Something is, a water property is different from the other fluids, and it has been explained. We do not have to understand it right away while you're reading it. If a question comes to that, we'll come back to it. So the broad structure in your mind should be getting clear. The tree itself does not actually push or pull. All the energy for lifting water comes from the sun's evaporative power. So tree itself does not actually get push or pull. It remains there. All the energy for lifting the water is coming through some evaporative power. That's all your. Which of the following statements is supported by the passage? Let's look at the passage a little more carefully. You see, this is a very important part, the line 6th or 7th. Property of water not commonly associated with the fluids, which is its tensile strength. Okay. Then we have another clue. The pull mechanism has long been favored by most scientists. Okay. This is information which is giving you a clue already that many other fluids not behave in this manner, favored by most, not all. Accordingly, with the first one, this tensile strength part, you can see the statement B, the pull theory depends on water's physical properties. So it's a physical property of water, the tensile strength, and that is definitely there. So B is there, and according to the pull mechanism, which is favored by most scientists, the pull theory is not universally accepted. Can we say this in the chat boxes if you can? Yeah, right. Can anyone say anything about A, whether A option is right? Is it being supported by the passage? Yes, no? I'm looking at chats. A is incorrect. A doesn't apply. A. So we know for sure that A is not true. Does not apply may seem like that we cannot say yes or no to it, but yeah, A is wrong. So I mean the statement in A is wrong, and for that reason the theory is not universally accepted. So it's true, it is not universally accepted. So statement A in that way is really correct, right? So this particular statement is not given in the passage, but this is what I was saying, that you have to engage with the text, meaning by that some information will be given in different context, and not just, by the way, unlike Pakistani tests which try to actually confuse the students, and that is why they put the information in a different manner. No, this information was coming as was being required in the passage, which is that the pull mechanism has long been favored by most scientists. So he wanted to emphasize that most scientists believe in it. He does not want to reject that some do not believe in it. He wants to highlight that most people believe in it. The question can then be a trick one, which in this case is. So option A would be a true option for us. So, and the third option, the pull theory originated earlier than did the push theory. Do we know anything about this? We have no timelines comparing pull and push. We know that this pull mechanism was first introduced in 1800s, but we do not know when did the push theories started to come up. So we cannot compare the two timelines of the push and pull. You get it? So option C is not supported by it. While in your own knowledge, if some botanist student is sitting here and he or she feels that yes, this statement is true, that is not you are tested upon. You are being tested upon the passage that is given. And according to this information, the pull theory's origin coming before or after the push is not supported. So option C is wrong. And here comes my next information to you. Half of you might already be aware of this. If you are being asked which statements are being supported by the passage or whatever the question is, and option A and B are the right ones, if you pick only A, you have 0 marks. If you pick B, you have 0 marks. If you pick A, B, and C, you have 0 marks again. If you pick A and C, B and C, all of them are wrong. No partial answers, no partial correct answers. You either get it A and B correct, and anything else is wrong. So, and by the way, there's no negative marking, so you should not be leaving out any question unmarked. Okay. I'll skip this one for now. We may come back to it. We have another passage around this. In this one, what you're being asked is that you highlight a sentence within the passage which supports a particular statement. And this is how you do it. When you scroll your mouse around the passage, every sentence, the full sentence will get highlighted. If you will click that, it will get a different color tone, and then you can move next. So your answer option would already be selected. Text completion questions. Any question? Should I be taking any questions? If you have any quick questions around the reading comprehension. Okay, if they come up, I'll let you know the text. So we'll see what a text completion is, what sort of strategies we are going to apply. Not all of them can be covered. As I said, it's a very short session. And the common mistakes that we do. The first thing you need to know is that for a text completion, there are about 6 GRE texts. Each GRE, the verbal section, one section has 20 questions, and you get 30 minutes for that. Within that 20 questions, you have 6 passage text completion related questions on average. On average, this is by no means a standard. The question structure is such that the passage is composed of 1 to 5 sentences. 1 to 3 blanks are different options given to you. We'll come to the one. First of all, you need to read the whole passage, the sentence, or it can have multiple phrases in it. It will most likely be 1 or maximum 2 sentences, but it can be more. There's no limitation, and you will have to fill. But the important thing is that you will have to ask yourself before even looking at the options, how can I make sense of the passage? What sort of a word would be given there which will fit the entire context properly? This is one of the key things that you have to do in text completion. Before looking at the options, I would suggest just even if you're unable to give it a word, just throw the examples and find the answers that matches. So you have to arrive this in 2 steps. First, you have to read the passage, understand it, then you have to look at the options, and whatever the options you find reasonable, then you plug back and see whether it makes sense or not. Okay, so unless you plug it back and read the sentence again, there's a good options are such that you will eventually be told that you have got it wrong. Okay, here's a question. It requires you to have 1 to 3 blanks. In this particular case, there are 3 blanks, and you have to pick exactly 1 from each of them. Let's read it. To the untutored eye. Okay, untutored eye. So I cannot be tutored or taught like I'm tutoring or coaching right now, but you can understand the meaning. It is some eye which is not very observant or not following a particular path or not very vigilant about something. Untutored eye, the tightly fostered Ardennes hills around Sedan look. How do they look? Quite dash place through which to advance a modern army, even with today's more numerous and better roads. Just look at it, how it's proceeding, even with today's more. So even with today's more numerous, many number of roads and better roads and bridges. So communication channels improved, but something is not being done. What? The woods and river moves from a significant dash. So something is being dropped down, something is not being done, something is being hindered. Let's look at the words which are giving you a clue before you can decide what sort of words you should be looking at. First of all, to the untutored eye, the tightly forested. So there are hills which have tightly packed trees in it. They look quite similar to something. So there is a similarity that needs to come according to what sort of similarity needs to come, which is reflecting the tightly forested Adinus hill. I'm sorry, my pronunciation with these proper nouns might not be good. The similar word looks quite this, must resemble to the previous thing, the information that you're already having here. What sort of words you are looking at in the blank one? Impenetrable, good word. Impenetrable, so densely populated trees that you are unable to penetrate an eye or some arrow or some machines or some guns or whatever. Okay, then we have a contrast that even with today's modern army, so must have been improved upon some of our communication channels, but even with that we are unable to, we are not able to do something. What sort of a thing we are not able to do? Right. So there, the third blank must become a contrast. The first blank is definitely impenetrable, that was right, but we must exclude, we must ensure that we exclude the other ones. Inconsiderable, there's no need for word inconsiderable around here. It does not go in any of the sense with the tightly forested hills. Uncultivated, no, there can be jungles rich with abnormal growth, but they are uncultivated, so they still can be very thickly populated. So these two options are wrong in the first one, so we pick A definitely. And then other also have to be similar one. It's a place through which to advance the modern army is difficult. Okay. Unpropitious, which is not suitable, which is not conducive. Unremarkable, not necessarily. A makeshift, makeshift is the reverse of it, so sort of not very robust, just a temporary structure. So we are not talking about that sense here. In the third one, where we have a contrast that even the modern armies with their current better road and bridges available to them, they are unable to do what? Form a significant, what sort of a significant thing they form? Those hills. They form a good resource for them? No, it's not a good resource for them. Those hills do not provide a good resource for them, because we are saying even with today's numerous, they are unable to advance and march on. They are an impediment. Those hills are an impediment. वो रुकावट डाल रही हैं, hinder कर रही हैं. The third option, passage, form a more significant passage. No, they do not form a more significant passage. They form a very difficult passage. It's an impediment. So your third option must be H. Unless you pick A, E, and H, any other iteration would be wrong. For example, you pick A, E, but G, A, E, or I, you're wrong. If you pick B and then you pick E and H, you're again wrong. So all other iterations other than A, E, and H. You see what's happening? The thing that is happening that is making GRE very tricky and difficult for people who do not have good command. For example, if there would have been 5 options. Okay, I'm not sure whether everyone is sleeping or aware. Let's say I do not tell you a question. There's a question and there are 5 options, A, B, C, D, E. Let's say I have a question here and you have not read it. Okay, you have not read it. Give me your answer. Random firing. There's only one answer correct. Fire it in your chats. Give me your answer. Either option A is wrong, A is correct, B is correct, C is correct, D is correct, E is correct. Everyone, just pick your options without knowing that you know the question. without knowing the question? Okay, A, B, A. Go ahead. Everyone must respond, please. I want to see people are around me and I'm not talking to a silo, the room here. Okay. You? No. There are A, B, C, D, E. E options. Okay. 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 And I'm not talking about the question on your screens right now. Okay. Can't answer. No, just answer because there's no negative marking. Just pick up an answer. Okay. Interesting thing is that my proposition is going wrong. All of you are picking up either A or B. There are options C, D, E as well. Anyhow, my point here would be if there are only 5 options or 4 options and you have to pick one, even at random, you don't know the question or you could not understand the question or you got it wrong towards the end or whatever, fine, without even knowing anything about the question. You don't even know the question. So what's happening is that you're giving a lot of chance in favor of someone who do not understand the question, who do not even have seen the question. So GRE makes it difficult because now your options are A, B, H, A, E, H, A, F, H, B, D, H, many iterations. There are 120 different iterations around here. So my point is that unless you are clear about the question, you are highly unlikely to get it right in the GREs or most of the questions available. Let's do one more practice here for the text completion. In the interviews, dashboards are often surprisingly dash. So in interviews, dashboards often are surprisingly dash. This helps to explain how seemingly awful people are able to command so many followers. What sort of people do have a large following? These people must be very, give your own words. So text completion is trick part is that you forget this part on the right. What sort of people would command so many followers? They must be charming, attractive, persuasive, right? Those sort of people. They are surprisingly dash. So they may actually be those or not, but it surprises the author, the writer of this particular sentence, that it's surprising for him or her that those despots, those cruel rulers are surprisingly what sort of people? There must be some sort of people which can then help that how actually they are awful because they are cruel leaders, they are awful people, but they are able to follow command. So we have to plug in a word which reflects this command. We are not talking about any other feature or property or personality attribute of that that cruel leader. We have to give some word which is aligned with the command so many followers part. They are able to command so many followers. Are they surprisingly malign? No, they are not malign. It's the opposite. You are looking for a positive word, first of all. So first of all, let's give us take out the negative words. Malign is a negative word. Indignant, it's a negative word. Forgiving is somewhat positive. Maaf karne wala, jaldi. Personable is a positive word. Even if you don't know the meaning, we'll come back to it. Munificent, something which is favorable. Okay, so are they munificent? They're not munificent, or not even to the people they are munificent. That property we're not looking for here. We are looking for something which tells you that they are able to command. So personable is that word. Personable is someone who has a personality which attracts other persons very closely. Okay, someone who is liked right away. कुछ चेहरे होते हैं, कुछ बात करने का अंदाज होता है, कुछ और चीजें होती हैं which makes you personable, which makes you attractive towards others. And if you are able to see the screen here, are you able to see the screen here?
I can see your screen.
The Chrome window?
Yes, now I can see it.
Okay, so I would suggest you to always use Google's short dictionary. Just write personable and assume that you want to understand the meaning. Having a pleasant appearance and manner. And by that, which is not actually coming exactly in the sense of making you followers. If you will see the details, if you see it in other dictionaries, you will find word charming, affable, amiable, likable, agreeable, pleasant. So these are all the properties you are looking here, which are aligned with this part. The last 5 words, able to command so many followers, 6 words. Okay. So your answer is personable. Munificent is not that word. Why? Let's see. Munificent, while it's a positive word, but you're not looking for all positive words here. This is characterized or displaying great generosity. We're not looking for an attribute which people find generosity associated with. This is the trick here, guys, in the text completions. First, you have to make sense of the sentence without the word. Then you have to pick a word's direction, a positive or a negative attribute you are looking for. Not necessarily all positive words would have filled it, because the sentence is premised. उसका जो structure है, उसकी जो dependency है, वो इस चीज पे है कि लोग उन defaults को बहुत ज्यादा command so many followers करते हैं. इसका मतलब है likable और charming समझते हैं. So you have to pick aligned word with that. Okay. Sentence equivalence. This is the next part. जिस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, ये भी यूजुअली 5, 4, 6 पर 20 क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. क्वेश्चंस इसमें क्या करना होता है, इसमें आपने 6 ऑप्शंस दी होती हैं एक पर्टिकुलर ब्लैंक के अगेंस्ट. सेंटेंस कंप्लीशन की तरह ही होता है ये भी, टेक्स्ट कंप्लीशन की तरह, लेकिन डिफरेंस ये है कि वो वर्ड्स ऐसे होते हैं कि वो आपस में तो सिनोनिम्स हो, सिमिलर हो या ना हो, वो सेंटेंस कर दें. सो देयर विल बी 6 ऑप्शंस. आपने वो 2 ऑप्शंस एंड ओनली दोस 2 ऑप्शंस निकालनी है जो कि उस सेंटेंस को इक्वल. इसमें स्ट्रेटजीज थोड़ी सी डिफरेंट होती हैं, बट लेट्स सी अ क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट. The macromolecule RNA is common to all living beings. So something is common to all living beings, and DNA, which is found in all organisms except bacteria. So DNA is different, is almost as sense क्या आ रही है, हम ये कह रहे हैं macromolecule RNA is common to all living beings, and DNA, which is found in all organisms except some bacteria, is almost as what? Give your options जी. क्या options हो सकती हैं chat में दें. I'm going to
Everyone, Dr. will, Mr. Zafar will join shortly.
G. Fundamental, universal. बाकी लोग आंसर नहीं कर रहे. So we are looking for something कि RNA तो सब में कॉमन है, लेकिन DNA भी काफी हद तक is almost as, क्योंकि अभी देखें जो वर्ड है ना एंड है, जिससे आपको क्लू लेना है. क्यों? क्योंकि पहला वर्ड एक डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है और अगला वर्ड कह रहा है एंड दिस इज आल्सो सो, रिवर्स नहीं कर रहा. सो समथिंग एज कॉमन, ऑलमोस्ट एज कॉमन. सो वी आर लुकिंग फॉर अ वर्ड व्हिच इज मोर यूनिवर्सल. और एक और वर्ड है यूनिवर्सल, तो ठीक है यूनिवर्सल सही है, लेकिन वी हैव टू फाइंड 2 वर्ड्स व्हिच विल गिव द सिमिलर मीनिंग. प्लीज गिव मी सम अदर ऑप्शंस। फंडामेंटल नहीं है। देखें, फंडामेंटलिटी की बात नहीं हो रही, हम कह रहे हैं कॉमन टू ऑल। सो हो सकता है, देखें, अगर आप जनरली मुझसे बात करेंगे, यही ट्रिक है टेक्स्ट कंप्लीशन वालों में और सेंटेंस सीक्वेंस वालों में, तो व्हाट यू आर डूइंग इज कि आपको अदरवाइज ऑप्शन ठीक लगेगी। आप सही कह रहे हैं, अगर आपको डीएनए और आरएनए का पता है तो ये फंडामेंटल चीज है, बिल्कुल सही है। लेकिन पूछा ये नहीं जा रहा ना, पूछा ये जा रहा है कि इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सेंटेंस व्हाट काइंड ऑफ वर्ड वुड give it a proper meaning, and the second word would also give the similar meaning to the whole sentence. So here we are saying RNA is common to all living beings, and DNA is similarly almost as what? As most common. इंक्लूसिव नहीं, इंक्लूसिव भी दोबारा देखें सब में होता है, ठीक है, लेकिन उससे बेहतर वर्ड हमारे पास अवेलेबल है। हम बात इंक्लूसिविटी की नहीं कर रहे, हम कह रहे हैं कॉमन है तो उसका, लेकिन इससे ज्यादा भी है कुछ। यूबिक्विशियस, इसके लिए आपको जाना पड़ेगा स्क्रीन पे, और आपको यूबिक्विशियस का मतलब ये होता है कि जो हर जगह पाया जाए। ओके, प्रेजेंट, अपीयरिंग और फाउंड एवरीवेयर, दिस इज द मीनिंग। सो यूनिवर्सल का मतलब है जो हर जगह पाया जाए, यूनिवर्सलिटी। तो यहाँ पे जो वर्ड का मीनिंग यूज हो रहा है यूनिवर्सल का, वो इस सेंस में हो रहा है कि विच इज, तो यूनिवर्सल के मल्टीपल मीनिंग्स, उनमें से एक ये है कि प्रेजेंट एवरीवेयर। ठीक है, हम ये कहें कि ये एक, फॉर एग्जांपल हम एक कॉमनली वर्ड यूज करते हैं, डेमोक्रेसी इज अ यूनिवर्सल कॉन्सेप्ट नाउ। आज से 100 साल पहले डेमोक्रेसी इतनी यूनिवर्सलिटी नहीं थी, हर जगह इस कॉन्सेप्ट को इतना इजीली एब्जॉर्ब नहीं किया जाता था। ब्लैक्स के राइट नहीं थे, कलर्ड पीपल के राइट नहीं थे, या हम कह लें कि फीमेल के राइट्स बिल्कुल नहीं थे वोटिंग के, और बड़ी तरह की चीजें। तो यूनिवर्सलिटी नहीं थी, अब है। ठीक है, उस सेंस में वर्ड का मीनिंग आ रहा है यहाँ पे। So this is what is important, the root word, that it is common to all human, and will give you a sign that which direction we are proceeding. I'm going to skip this for now. आज जी हमने तीनों पार्ट्स कवर किए हैं, मैं कोशिश करूंगा मैं और कुछ चीजों पे हूं, लेकिन मुझे समटाइम्स लगता है कि ये कुछ चीजें हैं जो आपको जरूरी है जानना, just to have your heads clear about this. Familiarity टेस्ट के साथ होना इसलिए जरूरी है कि आप जब जाएं तो आपको बहुत से ज्यादा एस्पेक्ट्स टेस्ट के बारे में, क्वेश्चन टाइप्स के बारे में, स्क्रीन के बारे में, स्कोर के बारे में, स्कोर सबमिट कैसे करना है, नहीं करना, क्या कर सकता हूँ, क्या हो सकता है, रेपरकशंस क्या है। This will give you a lot of confidence which will then contribute to your performance to the best. तो आपका स्किल है इतना और आप परफॉर्म इससे भी कम करके आए, ये तो इससे भी ज्यादा जरूरत है, तो कम से कम जो स्किल है उसको तो फुली यूटिलाइज करें। तो विल यूटिलाइज दैट फुल स्किल्स व्हेन यू विल हैव फुल फेमिलियरिटी विद द टेस्ट, और बाकी तरह के एस्पेक्ट्स हमें कंफ्यूजिंग नहीं लगेंगे। डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द वर्बल रीजनिंग सेक्शन, इसके बारे में आपको बात करता हूँ। एक तो आप ये समझें कि एनालिटिकल राइटिंग सेक्शन आपका पहले आएगा, मैं इस पे आता हूँ, एक स्क्रीन मेरा ख्याल है। सो यू विल हैव two tests about writing which will be expanding in particular topic, और दूसरा होगा किसी आर्गुमेंट को आपने असेस करना होगा, उसके बारे में हमारा ये सेक्शन नहीं है। लेकिन वो दो जो सेक्शंस है ना, वो आपको थका देंगे। दिस विल बी द फर्स्ट थिंग यू विल बी फेसिंग इन योर GRE टेस्ट। तो ये आपको प्रिपेयर्ड होना चाहिए कि आपको 30-35 मिनट के जो वो दो सेक्शंस आएंगे, तो आपका वो और फिर ब्रेक मिला के तकरीबन 1.5 घंटे का जो टाइम है वही निकलेगा। तो आप जिस एनर्जी से जा रहे होते हैं वो डिप होने के चांसेस हैं। इफ यू आर अवेयर अबाउट दिस पार्ट, तो आपके डिप होने के चांसेस थोड़े से कम होते हैं। तो आई वुड सजेस्ट यू कि टेस्ट से तकरीबन 4 या 5 घंटे पहले उठें। उस दिन टेस्ट की कोई तैयारी ना करें, हल्के फुल्के निबल्स लें, कहीं पे थोड़ी बहुत वोकैबुलरी का कोई वर्ड अचानक याद आ रहा है ज्यादा, अदरवाइज आप टेस्ट की प्रिपरेशन में उससे पिछले दिन में भी कोशिश करें अपनी प्रिपरेशन को क्लोज रखें, बहुत लंबे लंबे टेस्ट ना करें। दिस विल रिड्यूस योर एंजाइटी लेवल, नो मैटर जितना भी आपका टेस्ट प्रिपरेशन लेवल है उसमें। 5 सेक्शंस हैं जो क्वांट के और वर्बल के आपको फॉलो करेंगे। अब मसला क्या है कि हम इसी को ही मेन टेस्ट कहते हैं, जो कि सही है। मसला क्या है कि 5 क्यों है? होगा क्या कि आपको जो पहले 2 एनालिटिकल राइटिंग टेस्ट क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, उसके बाद आपके पास ये वाले आएंगे 2 वर्बल और 3 क्वांट, या 3 वर्बल और 2 क्वांट। पहला सेक्शन अगर वर्बल का आ गया तो दूसरा क्वांट का आएगा, फिर वर्बल का आएगा, फिर क्वांट का आएगा, फिर वर्बल का आएगा। ये 5 क्यों है? और अगर पहला क्वांट का आया तो दूसरा वर्बल, तीसरा क्वांट, चौथा वर्बल और पांचवा फिर क्वांट, तो 3 क्वांट के हो जाएंगे और 2 वर्बल के। लेकिन काउंट सिर्फ 2 ही क्वांट के होंगे। अब मैं जब कह रहा था कि GRE इज अ वेरी साइंटिफिक टेस्ट, वेरी वेल रिसर्च, बहुत ज्यादा इंटेंसिव इन्वेस्टमेंट होती है इसमें, मिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स एक टेस्ट पे लगते हैं बनाने में। सो एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल सेक्शन वो इस चीज की लीवरेज लेते हैं कि आप टेस्ट में आ ही गए हैं और आप टेस्ट को सीरियस लेके कर रहे हैं, तो आपसे वो क्वेश्चंस करवाए जाएं जो अभी एक्सपेरिमेंटल बेसिस पे चल रहे हैं, जिसमें अंदर कोई बायस, लोगों के मल्टी कल्चर होने की वजह से उसकी जो सेंस है वो डिफरेंट तो नहीं समझ रहे, वो सारे एनालिसिस वो स्टेटिस्टिकल रन करते हैं। लेकिन वो कब हो सकेगा? जब आपको ये पता नहीं होगा कि इसमें से डमी सेक्शन है कौन सा। जब डमी सेक्शन होगा तो मैं भी सीरियस नहीं लूंगा, आप भी सीरियस नहीं लेंगे, कहीं ना कहीं हम लूज कर जाएंगे, रिस्क लेना शुरू कर देंगे, सेफ प्ले नहीं करेंगे। फॉर दैट रीजन एक सेक्शन एक्सपेरिमेंटल होगा जो कि आपको आखिर तक जिंदगी भर कभी नहीं पता चलेगा। ठीक है, तो वो सेक्शन आपका स्किप होगा। तो आपको तो सब सेक्शंस को सिमिलर उसके, हाँ एक्स्ट्रा सेक्शन अगर आ गया और आपकी किसी भी सेक्शन पे परफॉर्मेंस बुरी जा रही थी तो आपके लिए ये लकी हो सकता है कि वो वाला ड्रॉप हो जाए। सो दिस इज हाउ योर 5 सेक्शंस विल बी कमिंग अप। हर वर्बल सेक्शन में 20 क्वेश्चंस होंगे, 30 मिनट होंगे। हर क्वांट सेक्शन में भी 20 क्वेश्चन होंगे लेकिन 35 मिनट होंगे। और ये जो टेस्ट है ये सेक्शन लेवल एडेप्टेबिलिटी का है। जो पहले टेस्ट होते थे उसमें 2-3 वर्जन आए थे, जो पिछला वर्जन था उसमें आपको एक क्वेश्चन आता था लेट्स से वर्बल का, आपने सही कर लिया इस पूरी रेंज में, आपने यहाँ फॉलो किया, आपने सही किया, अगला क्वेश्चन डिफिकल्ट आएगा, फिर आपने गलत करना शुरू किया, फिर वो नीचे रहेगा, करते करते 20 क्वेश्चन में आपकी रेंज डिफाइन कर लेगा कि इस रेंज में आप कहाँ पे बैठे। ठीक है, वो असेस। लेकिन वो एंजाइटी होती थी। फिर ये है कि क्वेश्चन अगर इजी आना शुरू हो जाए तो आपको खुद ब खुद समझ आना शुरू हो जाती थी कि आप गलत कर रहे हैं, तो फिर आप बैक करने की ऑप्शन आपको पास दी नहीं होती थी, क्योंकि वो क्वेश्चन लेवल एडेप्टेबिलिटी है। पिछला क्वेश्चन अगर आप ठीक करने पे चले जाएंगे तो क्वेश्चन लेवल एडेप्टेबिलिटी तो खत्म हो जाती। तो इन्होंने क्या किया कि हर सेक्शन में फिक्स्ड क्वेश्चन है, उनकी प्रोग्रेशन इजी से हाई की तरफ नहीं जा रही होती, रैंडम डिफिकल्टी लेवल्स आ, लेकिन एक सेक्शन पे जैसा आप परफॉर्म करते हैं वैसी ही परफॉर्मेंस के हिसाब से आपका सेकंड क्वेश्चन है। इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आप सारे क्वेश्चन गलत कर दें तो आप तो फिर आपको अगला सेक्शन बड़ा आसान आएगा। लेकिन सर उसमें प्रॉब्लम एंड मैडम उसमें प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जो पहला सेक्शन है या स्पेशली दूसरा सेक्शन है उसमें हर एक क्वेश्चन ठीक करने का मार्क एक नहीं है। अगर आपको इजी क्वेश्चंस आए हैं बाद में तो आपने इसका मतलब पिछले सेक्शन में बुरा परफॉर्म किया, तो अगले सेक्शन में डिफिकल्टी लेवल लो होने की वजह से हर क्वेश्चन का मार्क 1 से कम होगा। ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझने में थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा, हम जरूरी नहीं है इसको क्लियर करें, लेकिन एक जगह और ये आएगा। अच्छा, स्क्रीन से फेमिलियरिटी लेना, ये स्क्रीन आएगी आपके सामने, इसमें आपके पास रॉ स्कोर्स भी लिखे होंगे, आप क्वेश्चंस को मार्क कर सकते हैं। तो मैं तो आपको हमेशा रिकमेंड करूंगा कि किसी क्वेश्चन में आपने 30 या 40 सेकंड भी लगा लिए तो उसको आंसर जरूर पिक करके जाएं, और वहां पे एक ऑप्शन आती है मार्क के, इस क्वेश्चन को मार्क कर दो, मैं बाद में टाइम मिला तो आ जाऊंगा या आ जाऊंगी। सो आप अपनी पूरी स्क्रीन को दोबारा जब रिव्यू का बटन दबाएंगे यहाँ पे, तो आपके सामने वो क्वेश्चन आ जाएंगे कि ये क्वेश्चन आपने मार्क किए। लेकिन अनमार्क छोड़ के जाने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। आप क्वेश्चन जरूर पिक करें, आंसर पिक करें, चाहे रैंडमली पिक करें, हो सकता है सही हो जाए, हो सकता है आपको बाद में आने का टाइम ही ना मिले, मोस्ट लाइकली नहीं मिलेगा, लेकिन वो सब आप रिव्यू कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे। आप क्वेश्चंस में पीछे जा सकते हैं, एक पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन में आप किसी भी क्वेश्चन पे वापस जा सकते हैं। आप क्वेश्चन 20 से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, आप 30, आई वुड सजेस्ट कि प्रोग्रेशन में जाए। ये स्क्रीन आपके सामने आती है, उसके बाद क्वेश्चन इस तरह से सामने आ रहा होता है, और आप जब ऑप्शन क्लिक करते हैं, जब ए ऑप्शन या डी ऑप्शन आप जो समझते हैं सही है, तो वो हाईलाइट हो जाती है, वो हाईलाइट हो जाती है, अगली हाईलाइट हो जाती है, और आप यू कैन प्रोसीड टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, और आप बगैर आंसर किए भी नेक्स्ट पे जा सकते हैं। सो प्लीज बी वेरी वॉचफुल कि आपने जो ऑप्शन क्लिक की है वो पिक हो भी गई है या नहीं हुई। हैव यू कंप्लीटेड द क्वेश्चन प्रॉपर्ली? लेट्स से आपने ऑप्शन ई क्लिक किया और आगे चले गए, नहीं, ब्लैंक 1 अलग फिल करना था, ब्लैंक 2 अलग फिल करना था। अगर आपने ब्लैंक 1 नहीं फिल किया तो वो आपको रोकेगा नहीं। तो ये आपने देखना है कि आपने ऑप्शन क्लिक की भी थी या नहीं, और अगर नहीं की या आप सोचना चाह रहे हैं गलत ऑप्शन पिक करके फिलहाल आगे कह रहे हैं मैं चला जाऊं, रैंडम ऑप्शन पिक कर ली, तो आप उसको मार्क कर लें। उस क्वेश्चन को मार्क करने की आपके पास स्क्रीन पे ऑप्शन आ रही हो। ओके, आपने बड़े पैसे लगाए और आपने घर वालों को जाके बताया कि जी मैंने 130 स्कोर ले लिया, क्या बात है। लेकिन 130 इज इक्वल टू 0। और इसकी रीजन क्या है? इसकी रीजन ये है कि जब आप 0 से 1 पे कोई इंप्रूव करता है तो वो कहता है मैंने 10 घंटे लगाया था 0 आया, मैं अगर 20 घंटे लगाऊंगा तो भी 0 आएगा, 30 घंटे साइंटिफिकली मैथमेटिकली 0 ही आएगा। तो 0 से 1 तक इन्फिनिटी का जंप है, 1 से 2 तक आपने परफॉर्मेंस डबल कर ली, एक स्कोर 1 था और अचानक 2 हो गया या डबल एफर्ट से। दैट इज 0 से 1 में और 1 से 2 में जो 1 मार्क का स्कोर है वो डिफरेंट गेजेस है। 9 से 10 का जंप इतना बड़ा नहीं है जितना 1 से 2 का जंप है, राइट? सो एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल पे जाके आप कहते हैं कि यहाँ पे ये जो डिफरेंस है कि आपने 130 से 131 लिया है या 161 से 162 लिया है या 169 से 170 लिया है, वो जो 1 स्कोर है वो वाकई में 1 स्कोर के बराबर ही उसकी मैथमेटिकल इम्प्लीकेशन बने। तो ये एक साइंटिफिक उन्होंने रिसर्च करके अपने हिसाब से 130 रखा है। So 130 is the absolute minimum. What I wanted to highlight here is for all of you that एक स्कोर कोई समझते हैं यार मेरे सिर्फ 4 स्कोर इंप्रूव, दैट्स अ लॉट, दैट्स अ लॉट। और मैं आपको यहाँ पे एक और बात भी बताऊंगा। पहले तो ये देखें कि 130 से 135 की रेंज में बहुत ही कम लोग परफॉर्म करेंगे जिनको बिल्कुल ही नैला नहीं आता, पता नहीं क्यों बैठे थे, क्योंकि लोग पैसे दे के आ रहे हैं ना। ये ऐसा टेस्ट नहीं है कि आपका मूड और आप आके बैठ गए, आपने पैसे दिए हैं तो यू विल बी परफॉर्मिंग, यू विल बी कमिंग विद अ गुड प्रिपरेशन। इवन देन 130 से 135 वाले लोग होंगे लेकिन बहुत कम होंगे। इसी तरह बहुत हाई स्कोर्स 165 से 170 वाले, प्लीज ये बाकी लाइंस को इग्नोर करें, सिर्फ 130। व्हाट यू आर लेफ्ट विद इज 135 165 में 95% बल्क फॉल करता है। विद दैट रेंज ऑफ 135 से 165 30 मार्क के स्कोर के साथ, 30 मार्क के साथ you are beating 1 लाख से ज्यादा लोगों को आप compete कर रहे हैं, हर एक मार्क पर लेके जाते हैं। So 1 mark is very very critical, it's not easy। आपको दूसरी बात बताने लगा हूँ, 3 स्टेप्स में मेरा 3 लेवल्स पे आपकी इंप्रूवमेंट आ रही थी। अगर आज मैं आपसे कहूं कि इस सेशन के 5 मिनट खत्म होने में रहेगा, आपको हम टेस्ट देंगे और आप वो करें, तो जो स्कोर आपका आएगा, अगर आप टेस्ट से फेमिलियर नहीं थे, टॉपिक्स नहीं पता थे, नहीं की थी, मेंटल माइंडसेट नहीं बना था, और जो आपके रीडिंग के हालात हैं जितने हैं उतने हैं, सबके हैं, तो आप जो परफॉर्मेंस करेंगे वर्सेस अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ कि यार 2 दिन है 4 दिन है, आप टेस्ट से अपने आप को फेमिलियराइज कर लो, कैसे पिक करना होता है, स्टेटमेंट्स किस तरह की आती हैं, क्वेश्चन टाइप्स किस तरह के आते हैं, आपका स्कोर 2 से 3 मार्क्स वैसे ही इंक्रीज कर जाता है क्योंकि आपकी टेस्ट फेमिलियरिटी इंप्रूव होगी। फिर अगर मैं आपसे कहूँ 2 हफ्ते की तैयारी करें तो एटलीस्ट आपके जितना मैं कह रहा था ना, आपका अगर ये वाला लेवल है, ये स्किल लेवल है, तो आप एटलीस्ट ये पूरा फिल करने की कोशिश करेंगे उन 1-2 हफ्तों में। मजीद इंप्रूव नहीं कर सकेंगे लेकिन इस लेवल को एटलीस्ट अचीव करने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे, वो मजीद 2-3 मार्क्स आपके करेंगे। बाकी जो आपकी रीडिंग कंप्रीहेंशन या जनरल वर्बल स्किल्स हैं या क्वांटिटेटिव और लॉजिकल स्किल्स हैं, वो बहुत सडनली इंप्रूव नहीं करेंगे, वो 2-3 महीने की तैयारी के बाद भी 4 या 5 मार्क्स से ज्यादा का स्कोर नहीं लाएंगे। तो ये नहीं हो सकता कि आज आपका स्कोर 135 आए थोड़ी सी तैयारी या 2 दिन के नोटिस पे और अगले दिन 20 मार्क्स का स्कोर, ये नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि GRE आपके वो वाले स्किल्स टेस्ट करता है जो ओवर द लाइफ आपने अक्यूमुलेट किए होते हैं। इट्स नॉट इजी टू गो अराउंड इट। लेकिन फिर भी इन 3 स्टेप्स में फेमिलियरिटी विद द टेस्ट, विद अ ब्रीफ सुपरफिशियल प्रिपरेशन एंड विद अ हार्डकोर प्रिपरेशन, 3 स्टेप्स में आपने स्कोर को ऊपर लेके जा सकते हैं। 1 पॉइंट इंक्रीमेंट होता है, कोई पार्शियल इंक्रीमेंट नहीं होता, कोई नेगेटिव मार्किंग नहीं होती। इसके अलावा परसेंटाइज होती हैं कि लेट्स से आप 97th परसेंटाइल का मतलब है कि आप एक रो में खड़े हैं 100 लोगों की जिसमें 97 नंबर आपका है, 97 लोग सॉरी आपसे पीछे हैं, आप 98 पे खड़े। तो 100 वाला मार्क भी 100 परसेंटाइल नहीं हो सकता बिकॉज 99 लोग उसके पीछे खड़े हैं। रॉ स्कोर आपको उसी वक्त आ जाता है। और एक और चीज आपके पास जो ऑप्शन आती है टेस्ट की, वो ये होती है कि आप अपना मोस्ट रीसेंट स्कोर भेज सकते हैं, या अगर आपने पिछले दिनों दिया था और उससे बेहतर स्कोर आ गया तो दोनों भेज सकते हैं, या बुरा आया तो भी दोनों भेज सकते हैं। लेकिन ये नहीं हो सकता कि आप इस स्कोर को ड्रॉप करें और पिछले दफा का 2 हफ्ते 4 हफ्ते 10 हफ्ते पहले वाला स्कोर भेज सकें। I think we are running out of time now.
So Zulfikar sir, thank you so much. I think our audience has greatly benefited from this session. We are running out of time and we hope that we can do another session and invite you again. But I just wanted to make everybody remember that the recording of this session will be uploaded on the USEFP YouTube channel. And please don't forget to follow us on USEFP and Education USA social media pages to stay up to date on our events and happenings. Thank you for joining the session today.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Amara, I'll catch up with